Well, good evening, everybody. This is Keith with Positively Osceola in for another one of our episodes of our evening coffee club discussion. Not just another night, it is a very special night, and that will be because we have the CEO, President of the St. Cloud Chamber of Commerce, Dirk Webb, with us. And how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, Keith. How are you?
Doing great. No complaints. Just kind of a long Monday. Mondays are Mondays, right? And
yes.
So kind of grasp onto them and hope for the best, and it was a good day. So hope you had a good one too. So if you kind of pop on and say hello. So why don't you tell me? People are starting to pop on, so we'll chat it out. So why don't you give us a brief history of how you came to the St. Cloud Chamber of Commerce?
Well, it just coincidentally next week will mark a year. Wow, time goes by fast when you're.
Yeah.
So I was serving in the Madison County Chamber in Indiana, and the problem was my son, my daughter, and the grandkids were all living down here.
Gotcha.
And we were just getting pictures and videos, and we agreed that we probably needed to make the move. And I was on Indeed one night just looking around Central Florida and looking at chambers, and I clicked on the St. Cloud Chamber, and up north where I'm from, Kissimmee, St. Cloud are the same thing.
Right.
As a matter of fact, when I took the job, the local paper there said I was leaving to take over the Kissimmee Chamber. Sorry, John. That's the way they reported it.
Let's see if we can contact John right now and get him in on here.
John's in good shape. He's no threat from me. And so anyway, surprisingly enough, they called back. They gave me a 5-question thing to do, and responded to that, and we started talking, and one thing led to another, and here I am.
And I know we've talked about this before, and then I remember, I think it was Patty Loading said, "Hey, I think we got a great guy that we really are interested in." I'm like, "That's super." And I think she mentioned your name. Of course, I went over to Facebook just to figure it out. And then that's where I saw Randy Vader and Jay Rouse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which was very cool. Some serious musicians right there.
Jay Rouse.
My gosh.
It's phenomenal. Yeah.
So talented. It's crazy, and just super anointed folks. So very cool. Very cool. So I guess what I typed in the main topic tonight, we certainly don't have to hang on that, but what I thought would be a cool thing to discuss tonight would be, you're leading a membership-based organization, an organization that touches, like all chambers, touches such just a wide variety of businesses and organizations, just demographically. So if that's the case, and it is certainly with St. Cloud, a hugely rapidly growing community, all the things that have been going on in this year, how do you keep that ship focused on the forward and not to get dented back as individual businesses and organizations? How do you speak to that many organizations and businesses and keeping them positive and looking forward and not to give up hope? How do you do that at the same time you're actually running a business? The chamber's a business. So how do you keep all that stuff spinning in the right way?
Well, to begin with, a chamber of commerce, when you give us your membership dollars, your business becomes our business. Let's take Positively Osceola as an example. Once you join us as a member, you're trusting us to represent your best interest when you may not have either the resources or the time to do so. One of the fascinating things about this COVID-19 issue, we succeeded in several areas in my mind. Number one, a lot of businesses don't take the time to test their business continuity plans. I'm a former IT guy, and that's important. Well, we found out that we could function outside the office from a virtual standpoint.
Right.
If something happened to the building, we were still in good shape, so we were able to put that in practice. So that was good for the chamber and good for the members.
Sure.
Secondly, we found out that with no events going on, what we were able to concentrate on was you and your business. What did you need? And several folks would contact us and say, actually, I need help in this area, or I need help with state government, or I need help with the Small Business Administration. And they would call us, and we would be able to focus on that. LaTanya called almost all of the members in our member base to see how they were doing, and usually by business segment. Pamela got as much information out the door as she possibly could, and then Glen Ellen held down the fort with the accounting and handling phones back at the office, and she did, and they all did a tremendous job. And what we heard overall from the members was a resounding, this is what a chamber should be doing. They should be watching out for me and my business.
Interesting, and we kind of spoke a little bit prior to this, those kind of things, events, we are, I don't want to talk PO the whole time we're talking, but that was the big thing for us. It was almost one day, all the events just went away.
Right.
Everything in the area it's like they all kind of got in a conference call and said, hey, let's make the day, let's make it this day. We all just canceled the events. And we kind of giggle now, but that was not a beautiful thing that day.
Right.
And it gave us an opportunity to look at who we were a little bit more. And I just don't know that we had, probably not the right word, I don't know that we had the guts to say, hey, let's chill back on events right now, about our business, and look at how we are interacting with the community, as opposed to, with you guys interacting with businesses and organizations, how we're interacting with community. And it gave us an opportunity to look at that as well. Certainly challenging to do so not in our office. That was a bear for us the first few weeks, I think, but kind of like you said, we kind of figured out some things as time went on, how to communicate, virtually and not lose too much amperage, I guess. So if you would just go on a little bit more, if you could, just talk about how. So what was the vibe and the spirit of all the businesses? Were they overly concerned, and was it tough for businesses to look forward and say that we're going to get through this? Is that what you saw from where you sat?
Yeah. From our virtual perches, the staff and I conversed every day, of course, several times a day by email. And first of all, what we heard was, they're very concerned that it was the food industry, first of all, the restaurants. And so we had LaTanya reach out to them first. And the overriding message that we got back was, wow, it's nice to know my chamber cares.
Yeah. And
then we got, hey, I need some help with funding, but I don't know where to turn, or I need this or that or the other. And that's the important part of a chamber of commerce, is the advocacy piece.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, as you join us, we're building our mental Rolodex of all of our members. And then when you say, hey, I've got a problem, who does this? We know exactly who to point you to. And we can help with that. And that's our job, really, is to connect you to who you need to know to make your business a success.
Right. I know, I'll flip it back in our direction from them. I'm just kind of speaking from my own experience. I know when I first joined the St. Cloud Chamber, my wife and I had owned a couple other businesses, and more of a, social media marketing, but it was really, it birthed out of, web development and such, like a lot of folks. And when we started moving towards what we're doing now a little bit, we really, and she was the big proponent. She said, you really need to speak to or be a part of an organization that can look at you and say, hey, I'm glad you guys have been doing this for a while, but what we really, we need maybe to speak to you about helping you in this manner. It really gave me a fresh look. Sometimes I think, I speak to some, not everybody, but maybe mid-20s, and maybe they haven't had that experience or the exposure to the Chamber of Commerce, or not sure what it is. And I've really been able to say, more than ever before, it's an easy nod. I mean, if people say, look, I don't know what's going on, I haven't been in business that long, and we have this huge pandemic going, and now there's, unrest in the country we haven't seen in decades. Business is hard to keep people focused on it. What do you do? And I'm not just saying this because I'm in the conversation with you right now, but I don't know of a better solution than speak to your Chamber of Commerce. I mean, it's an easy nod. I don't know that I could even be doing what we're doing right now had we not been members of the Chamber of Commerce, because I learned, we network a lot, but I learned more than I've ever networked, big time. That's our thing. But so now, so you're going to start moving. You're going to start moving more and more towards. Why don't you talk about what you were talking earlier? Your first face-to-face event that might be coming up, an opportunity for people.
Yeah, be sure and check our website and our Facebook page. But before long here, we have an event called Coffee Co-op. And in the past, it's been where we try to source yet another speaker. And that's not the easiest thing in the world always, is to find, especially in St. Cloud when there are so many events.
Right.
We're going to go to Duke's Brew House at 8:30 in the morning, and be sure and check the date on that. It doesn't come to mind right now, but we're going to invite you to come, gather around a table at a safe distance, of course, and bring your business cards, bring your flyers. We're going to give you about 1 minute to talk about your business. We may, if you go over that 1 minute, we're humorously going to stop you because we want to give everybody the same chance. But what we're hoping for is that meeting after the meeting where you come across somebody you can really do business with or really talk to. And that's what chambers do, is they connect you and connect businesses and connect the community. And we're really looking forward to that at Duke's.
You kind of stole the thunder. I was just about to say, hey, a lot of Chamber of Commerce will put you on the spot and say, hey, okay, give me the elevator speech about your business. So let's say a 25-year-old person walks in and has been busy with life, and now they're in a position maybe post-school or post-college, post, small career, and now they want to move on, and they want to know how, what kind of advocacy is out there. How would you explain to that 25, 26-year-old person what the Chamber of Commerce does and what they mean to business?
Well, that's a great question, because that age group that you're talking about, they don't normally belong to things. They don't join things.
Right.
And used to, it was your civic duty to belong to the Chamber of Commerce if you were in business. Now we're like everybody else. We've got to kind of prove our worth. So what we'll tell you is, look, for this amount of money, you're paying very little to get our marketing arm, to get our advocacy arm. We know people that you don't know in state government, local government, even federal government. We've got our hands in places that you may not be able to get to. We can help you in business education. We've got a series called the Toolkit that we're going to keep virtual now, and we're already lining up things like here's how you read financials. Right. Here's what marketing 101 looks like. Here's how you set up your IT. All those things, and so those educational pieces are huge. But the biggest thing we can do is connect you to the business community, so you'll never feel like you're in this alone, that you always have resources. Entrepreneurship, hard word to say, can be a very lonely business at times. You know that.
Can be. So now, given all the given the COVID-19 scenario, that certainly brought to the forefront 3 letters that a lot of businesses and people don't know, and that would be an S, a B, and an A. So, interesting enough, certainly St. Cloud Chamber of Commerce has a great relationship with the SBA. So I think that caught people off guard. I spoke to a lot of people, and they were like, "Well, I've never even heard of the SBA." And so, how does that interface with what you do as far as providing advocacy and education for small businesses?
Well, it's huge. The chamber makes those connections for you because the SBA has under it, of course, the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, the SCORE professionals, and the women's centers, women's business centers, various other things like that. But for instance, I have worked with some companies in the past that were just looking for break-even point, and I would walk them through what that looks like. That's really not my job.
Right.
I can be a business coach, but I'm trying to run an organization and connect you in other ways. But the SBA and the SBDC can actually sit down with you and walk you through some of the finer points of owning a business, including DBAs, licensing, taxation, all those things that the chamber's not going to be a specialist in.
Right.
And so that's huge too. We can deliver the SBA, the SBDC, the women's centers. So we've got those resources to deliver.
I was saying as you were going through those, I was thinking, okay, so if you're a business or organization and you were not sure what Dirk just said, then that's another reason why you need to call them and join. It's
I've got a long relationship with them both here and in Indiana, and they're outstanding organizations, great tax money at work.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, there were humongous amounts of things I simply did not know when I first joined, and you're not going to get people snickering and laughing behind your back that you don't know something, because that's why they're there.
That's why you're paying us your membership dollars.
Yeah, it's
great. Bring up to speed on all that.
So I got into the SBA thing, which then my mind started thinking we should talk about something else just briefly, which we kind of touched on earlier. And so a lot of people, because of the nature of what this whole year has been or brought to us, it's been very distracting to something that's very important to many facets of our communities, and that would be the 2020 census. Yeah. So, and for those who don't know, it's still the government extended that, and it's a big deal. So if you wouldn't mind, just for just a moment, just kind of give us a little an encouragement maybe, or an explanation of how does a census matter to nonprofits or maybe organizations like the chamber.
Yeah, so as we advocate for business, the state and federal government are looking at growth trends. They're looking at population. Obviously, this is the whole purpose of this is to count each of us so that we can get the resources due us. One of the things that people shy away from the census about, they think it's a long, involved, terribly complex thing, and I really don't have time for this. I did mine in somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, and there wasn't a question on the thing that I had to study for. Right. It was all very, very point blank. So the chamber's message to you is take that 5 to 10 minutes. You're actually paying yourself to do that and making sure that our representation is in place through the census.
Well said. I think the COVID, I was just speaking to Jeremy Lanier today, whose family owns a business or two down in downtown Kissimmee, historic, it's a historic building really, and they have, antiques and so much more right on Broadway. And we talked about he's right now, he's also representing the Osceola or the Florida Department of Health in Osceola County. Right. And, it affects so many things right now. And as fast as this community grows and will continue to grow, it's so important that that we're counted each one time and in the right place, so that those, like you're saying, the emphasis from the federal government in situations like COVID-19, they're able to allocate resources appropriately. So, certainly a big deal right now. We don't, and actually, if somebody is listening and wants to know how to do that, you can go to 2020census.gov, and like Dirk said, it takes you a few minutes, and or if you want to learn more about it, go to makeosceolacount.com, and that of course leads you over to the 2020census.gov website. So there you go. Anything else you'd like to share as far as what the chamber's up to and what people can expect coming from the chamber?
Yeah, just we've got some surprises coming down the road here. We've got some unveils to do, and we're changing some things around. And so the toolkit's going to go virtual, and we've got some other events that we're looking at that are business oriented. You know, we're having a good time planning what the next year is going to look like, and that's around the corner. October 1st is the start of the new year.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's coming pretty quick. Well, I'll close by saying this, and I want to recap for somebody who may have popped in, and I mean this with all my heart. Number one, you've done a great job with the chamber, and we're glad you're here. It's been great to become a friend of yours, and your staff's outstanding, very welcoming, and I mean that. And I meant when I said that if you have a business and an organization and you're things might be going great, but then things like this happen, and you're kind of in a position where you're like, maybe I do need some more consultation, more assistance, more advocacy. I can't think of an organization to belong to that would do a better job equipping and making sure people are planning and able to get through times like this. And when things are going smoothly, I just can't think of an organization that would be better to be a part of than the St. Cloud Chamber of Commerce. So I appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Keith. And we thanks to Positively Osceola for the way you promote the county. And by the way, you still owe me a session with the saxophone and the guitar. Don't forget that.
I do owe you that, and that's a blessing, not an owe. So all right, we'll call it for the evening. So again, thank you for your time. I know you're super busy, and so I appreciate your time tonight, man.
Enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you, Keith.
Very cool. All right, again, this is Keith with Positively Osceola for our evening coffee club discussion with a friend, Dirk Webb from the St. Cloud Chamber of Commerce, the CEO. Have a good night, my friend. Take care, sir. And together we're making a positive difference in Osceola County. Good night, everybody.